I wish I had a more uplifting message for this Christmas season, but I, along with so many parents, are increasingly concerned about the direction of our leadership in our schools. I come from a line of educators, following that tradition myself by studying to become a full-time teacher. I was told that when my father was promoted to principal of Lakeview Community Schools at the age of 25, he was then the youngest public school principal in the state of Michigan. My mother, sister were also educators, and my daughter and niece are both pursuing teaching degrees now. I received a bachelor's degree in education from Central Michigan University in 1984 and went to work with high school seniors across the Midwest. I taught topics like personal finance, resumes, career options, etc. Things that these kids would need in order to survive and succeed in the real world. Each year, I'd visit over 130 schools and spoke to about 10,000 students. I spoke in classrooms from Gary, Indiana, to Flint, Pontiac, Detroit, and everything in between. I can tell you, you had to be on your toes with that job. Most of the time, I'd be in charge of the classroom for the entire day. I worked in some of the poorest high-crime schools as well as some of the very wealthiest. I sometimes broke up fistfights and once jumped between two factions to shut down an impending race riot. Yes, I saw a lot back then and still have dozens of vivid memories from that time period. But in a lot of ways, that was nothing compared to today. Oh, how pleased I am that my parents are not here today to witness the moral sewage seeping out of our education establishment today. Recently, the National School Board Association flat out labeled parents as domestic terrorists. They cited as proof the example of a father who attempted to expose the horrific rape of his daughter, a tragedy brought on by the school's new gender and bathroom policy. The school's superintendent lied about the incident and tried to cover it up. The administration's answer was to transfer the rapist to another school where he then raped another girl. The National School Board listed this anguished father as an example of domestic terrorism that needs to be investigated by the FBI. Thank God my educator parents are not here to witness the callous disregard exhibited by that local school board and the National School Board. And thank God my parents, MEA member parents, didn't witness the recent rantings made by a federal director of the National Education Association representing over 3 million teachers. This board member exclaimed that unvaccinated individuals with religious exemptions deserve to die. She was not done. She said, in this Christmas season, and with all this national gun violence breaking out in our cities and school shootings, espoused on her Facebook post that Republican office holders ought to go get their guns and go out and mass murder all of their unvaccinated constituents. Yes, this is an NEA, National Education Board member. My parents would be turning in their graves to hear this vile poison oozing out of this and into the bloodstream of our kids' education. This board member's post has been national news since his post occurred on December 6th. And what have we heard from the NEA? How about the MEA? How about the liberal education establishment? Crickets. And these are just two high-profile instances of moral decay from the education leadership circles. If you're not paying attention to what's happening in your child's schools, you should be. It is my hope and my prayer in this Christmas season that we can reestablish a moral compass that is needed to push back on this noxious trend spreading to the educational hierarchy. Because at the end of the day, this is about protecting the futures of our kids and our grandkids and our country. Thank you, Mr. President.